And yeah, I was isolated, completely isolated, only looking at four walls for probably about 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And then
Yeah. Before we start with this interview, I just have one disclaimer. We have had issues with the internet. It just is very unstable in the area that I'm at. I am moving at the end of the month, but until then, sometimes it just stops, it cuts out, and we miss a word or two. And I don't like to interrupt my guests and have to restart the whole story again every 5 minutes. So you might miss a word or two, but the gist of it is there. And I hope it's not too much of an interruption. Let's continue with the show. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to hearing your story, as I'm sure everybody else is. So I'm just going to hand over the floor to you, and you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, what happened, what led you to where you are today.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kirsten. I'm a creative development coach. I haven't been a coach for my whole time. I've actually been through a large number of different roles throughout my career. I started in accounting, then I moved on to software support and combining both my accounts and payroll together. And then I moved on to software development. So I was part of building an accounting and payroll software package. But, you know, all the years that I've been doing accounting and software and that sort of thing, whilst I was very good at it, it just wasn't my passion, and I knew that for a very long time. But I used it, you know, throughout my travels. Like I travelled the world for 4 years and, you know, did accounting work and software work while I travelled. So it got me by. And then come back home to Australia, and then that's when I got more into the software development side. And then got married, had kids, and I started creating my own gift hamper business in my own house. And coming up to Christmas time, we probably had like 400 or 500 hampers in our house trying to ship them out the door, and it was quite a crazy experience, I must say, especially with a newborn baby and yeah, just newly married and all that sort of thing. So baby 2 never came along, and we had to give it up. It was just too much. I was shipping Australia wide, and it was good. It was fun around. And then on from that, cheating, and he ended up leaving. And in amongst all of that, we were hit with COVID. And then in amongst all that, where I was a product manager of a software company, they had just been brought over by a UK company here in Australia. So they ended up having to go through a restructure, and here I was, a team of 8. Basically, we were cut in half, and I was one of the 4 to stay. But then came another challenge with being a newly single mum, you know, trying to find my own feet, a highly demanding role. Like they were expecting me to work from 6 a.m. in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. And here I was just, you know, pushing my babies to and from school, and it was just not the life. I'm going to tear up. Then I ended up, you know, going on holiday for a month, thinking, oh, you know, it might be just me. I'm, you know, just gone through all this trauma, and I had a beautiful holiday, come back, and then I was straight into it. And from that moment, I said to myself, no, I can't do this. I can't do this for me. And I can't do this for my babies. It's not fair for them to be seeing their mum just frantically running around, and, you know, meetings at 11 o'clock and all throughout the day. It just was not a life to be living. So that is when I started to work on trying to find who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And a lot of the times, whilst I was pulling myself towards things that I thought were going to solve the problems that I had in my life, you know, with everything that had gone on. I ended up moving back with mum and dad for a long period, which had its huge challenges as well. So I started to get into marketing, and I thought, well, you know, I can do marketing. I've got a technical background. I can pick up any software and just absolutely run with it. But then there's all the extra challenges, like the marketing. Marketing is just so over fluctuated with so many marketers out there, good and bad. And, you know, I did it for a little while and I'm like, nah, this is just not who I want to be and where I want to be. And you're not in control all the time because you have all the, you know, Facebook and Instagram, and they can block you and this, that, and everything else. And I had no control. Like, they were controlling what I could and couldn't do. So then I came across my coach, Christopher Duncan, and he's from Conscious Education, and I started working with him and learning how to get myself into a creative structure and focus on, you know, morning routines, and then start recoding a lot of the resistances that I had. And to be honest, I had connected with him when I started the digital marketing, but I chose at that time to go to my safest spot. So basically the path of least resistance, which was where I had all my technical skills and I knew that I could easily pick it up. After finding that, you know, that wasn't where I wanted to be, I ended up going back to Chris, and I did whatever I could to get out of where I needed to be, and I moved me and my kids to the beach. 2 minutes, we were basically across from the beach. I just had to get myself into a comfortable, safe and happy environment so that we could start to move forward. And in that time that we moved, it was only for 3 months at the time that I'd locked us in so we could start to find our feet. One of Chris's team members rang me and said, look, we've got a conference in the Gold Coast. Can you come? And I just said yes. I had no idea what it was about. And it was just like, and there was no program. So I honestly had no idea. And I went, and it just changed my life. It was a 4-day event in that time, and it was just perfect timing. I was basically in a huge cocoon where I was not letting anyone in whatsoever because I had been so broken and so hurt and basically crushed for the last 3 years. And there are a lot of things that I needed to let go of, and a lot of people I needed to let go of as well, because if I held on to it for any longer, I don't know where I would be. In that time, in the 4 days, it was a really intimate group, actually. It was only 24 of us. And in that time, he helped, and the rest of the people that all, you know, remove a lot of the, you know, traumas that I had, and taught me how to easily let go of the emotions that I would feel, you know, any little trigger that would always trigger me before, whether it be my mum talking to me because she always triggers me, you know, so whatever it may be, my ex-husband, there were always times where he just needed to speak and that would trigger me. And I let go of, but after that, I kept on coaching with one of the other coaches, and she helped me get into a creative structure and not so much focus on the actual problems and me constantly trying to resolve problems all my life, which is what I had been doing. You know, we all do. Everything we do, the world is basically constantly trying to resolve problems, but it wasn't until then I realised that the more we try and resolve problems, the more we're not focusing on where we need to be. So once I started working out and identifying what I truly wanted for myself, it wasn't until then everything else started to change. And when I went through with one of my other coaches, and she helped me deep dive into, you know, what I truly wanted for my own life, and not for anyone else, not for my kids, not for mum or dad, just who am I and what do I want to do. And I had been on and off trying to create the things over the years, but not really understanding the meaning of why I wanted to create them, and always being pulled back to where I was always like to my safe spot, really, like to software, to, you know, to accounting and that sort of thing. But indirectly, I was always being me and helping and mentoring, like in all of my roles. So my colleagues would always say she's like the mummy of everyone, and she just, you know, helps, and she just knows so much about it, and she just shares it to everyone. And so indirectly I was being me, but it's not really where I wanted to be, if you know what I mean. So I then moved on to, so from that point in time, I was still trying to hold on to my marketing and that sort of thing. But my coach said, look, you have to make a decision. Like, are you being pulled back to where you want to be because it's the path of least resistance, and it's your safe spot? Or are you going to really, truly go for what you really, really want? And that's when I started to form my own coaching business, because, you know, I have been through a lot, and I know so many people in the world have been through so much. However, it's not until you've been through the trauma and learnt how to get yourself out of it that you can truly help people, because you don't really understand what people actually have really experienced. And what I have chosen to do now is to basically teach people and coach other parents, mums, fathers, whoever it may be, to move into and create a life that they truly desire, and get them into a creative structure. Because there's so many times, like me myself, you know, I've you know, done a few things in my life, and you just feel like you're just completely stuck, and you don't know where to go or what you need to do. You don't know what steps to take. And when you're in a creative structure and not in a problem-solving structure where you're constantly trying to solve problem after problem after problem, you're in a place where you can focus on what your actual true desired reality is. I want to be helping people, you know, overcome those challenges, recode them out with a quantum recode and really get them into a creative structure.
Okay, I've got a lot of questions. So I'm going to start with the first. I'm going to start with just going back. So traveling for 4 years and then doing books, and that, it's almost like two totally different lives. So how did you start off by going and traveling for 4 years? I mean, not a lot of people get to do that. And I think that in itself is a life that a lot of people wish they had.
So to be honest, I was working with a colleague here in Australia, and her and her husband were going over to the UK, and they said, come. So I saved my money and I went, and it wasn't planned for 4 years. It just so happened. And like, to be honest, when I arrived in the UK on the first day, I just got on the phone to my mum and dad and cried and cried and cried, like I was so far away from them. But they never looked back. So yeah, I was very hesitant to go, because I'd always lived with mum and dad. My mum and dad were very, very, very strict, but it was either me listen to them tell me off all the time, or me just completely escape and move over to the other side of the world where I was in complete control myself. So that's what I did. And I started in the UK, and I was there for 2 years, did 5 months throughout Europe, went to all the European countries, then went back to London, and then kept on travelling back and forth. Then I come home for, I think it was 6 months, maybe 8 months, and then I got a visa for Ireland. And I went over to Ireland and lived in Dublin for another 2 years, 2.5 years. So, and that was the best. So yeah. And so now, you know, that's the life I completely miss. When I moved back to Australia, I moved to Bondi Beach with my best mate. My best mate and I actually worked together here in Australia, and then we travelled throughout Europe together. And when we moved back to Sydney, we ended up living together at Bondi Beach. And then that's when my husband and I met. And that's when it started to go downhill, and I didn't get to do as much travelling and living the life that I really loved. So now that my marriage and everything is over, I want to get back there. And you know, I've got all my travel photos just over there, and I pull them out and show the kids, and I'm like, we're going to go here one day. And, you know, that would be my ultimate dream, is to just travel with them for a year and show them the world. So that's where
because it's a life that nobody actually would understand. And I think, for me anyway, you spend your life working so that you can have that freedom again. But it's kind of an oxymoron, because you need to be able to do it while you're traveling. You need to be able to earn that income while you're traveling, instead of, you know, like Tim Ferriss says in the 4-Hour Work Week, don't live, you know, as waiting for retirement, because it may never happen. You could be so caught up in living it then, but you're actually losing out on life while you're in the process of living.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's another reason why I chose the path that I did. Like, I was doing a 9 to 5, and in fact I was, you know, my last, you know, job where I was employed by someone way in the world, I could, you know, do what I want or travel. Like, now I can just pick up a laptop and say, hey kids, we're going away, or we're going here, or we can, you know, travel the world. And I can work anywhere now. So yeah, and that's always been my long-term dream.
Well, the thing is, how old are your kids now?
Scarlett is 11. She just turned 11 a couple of weeks ago, so that he can appreciate it more. But even if we went now, it'll be fine. So
yeah. Well,
they're easy now. They're not babies, so
exactly.
it's so much easier now. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry so much about them being able to look after themselves, you know. Yeah, and their brain will just take stuff in like a sponge.
Absolutely.
I know just before COVID hit, I took my son to Italy, and I booked in all the places I could think of to show him around, because when you're there, you don't know what you're looking at, you know. And I think that had such a huge impact on him, because he is absolutely fascinated with Rome and Roman history and all that stuff. And it's something you can't give in a book. You know, it's just not possible. So now you come back to Australia and you find yourself starting up a company and now being tied to a desk. It's almost like the exact opposite from where you were at.
Absolutely.
Was that like, you know, what was that? Did it just work out that way because the money was there, or was there a plan behind that?
No, there was no plan behind it. I think because I just moved in with my best mate, and you know, we were still having fun because we were, you know, single. We were by the beach. We were, you know, brunches, dinners, you know, nights out, and all that sort of stuff. So it was still fun. And I was with a company then, like they had a huge social crowd as well. So it was still lots of fun. So, and then I moved on to software because that's when I got bored with just doing accounting. And I combined the two. So I ended up working for an accounting and payroll software company. So, and just starting off as support. And so I'd be educating people how to, you know, do their debits and credits and all that sort of. But yeah, it wasn't as exciting as traveling.
No, because having children.
And then I found my husband. Sorry?
And going through all of that, having children, getting married, going through all of that kind of just changes your entire life. You know, just from being responsible for yourself to now having to be tied down almost.
Yeah. And I was completely that when I got married, actually. And then we had the two kids, and then it was just all about, you know, them. And yeah, I was isolated, completely isolated, only looking at four walls for probably about 4 or 5 years. And then so from there.
Well, the thing is, I've discovered for myself is I did something similar to you. I also traveled around the world, came back, thought I'll just, you know, pop over, settle down a little bit, go travel again, and then I ended up falling pregnant. And the guy I was with was a total sociopath. Didn't know it at the time. Got to know him while I was pregnant. And I was almost suicidal. And I think for me anyway, and that's why I'm asking, is like, if you're coming from an environment, you can leave your home environment, become somebody else, reinvent yourself. But sometimes it's almost like a lottery winner. They'll win the money, but if you haven't trained yourself to know how to hold on to the money, you'll lose it again. So even though you leave your home environment, you're going to come back and settle down with somebody that reminds you of that, putting you back to, hey, this is actually where you belong. And now you've had that taste of freedom. Did you have that same experience where it's almost like a cosmic slap saying, no, you thought you were this person, but this is now what you've gone and attracted back into your space again?
I haven't had that experience as yet, to be honest, because I've not long got out of the trauma that I was going through. It was full 3 years of trauma. I know I needed to get myself into the right structure and into the right frame of mind. I was in such a bad spot. From someone who could easily talk, I could get on Zooms. Like I had lost my confidence speaking, but that was due to other things that had gone on in the workplace. But, you know, I would speak in front of the company and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, coming off the back of that, August last year, get on a Zoom call, I would not talk to anyone. I was completely isolated. I was just in my own cocoon and just in complete survival mode. And trying to protect my babies at the same time and keep them, you know, in flow. They were the most important things that I needed to keep and to get away from the toxic environment that I was in. So I haven't allowed that into my life just yet. It's only been, so when I moved, I was also at the most heaviest I've ever been in my life, almost my pregnancy weight, 8 kilos then. And in that time, like up until now, like I've dropped almost 20 kilos already, just trying to get myself back on track into who I want to be. And to, you know, who I want to be, as well as get us into a nice place, a beautiful location where I always wanted to live, which is by the beach. And it's only now that I'm starting to let other people into my life. And I did go out on my first date on the weekend, and that's been such a long time, and it was bloody scary, I must say. So yeah, it's very, I'm slowly letting things in, but I'm also very aware and very strong on where my focus needs to be. So if I have anyone come into my life that is not going to serve me, they will be out of my life as soon as possible. And those that are in my life because I have to be in my life, I control that. And I know how to control that now. And that's one of the most important things. And I don't need to or stress or anything about things because I just have my end result that I focus on. When I have, you know, some things that happen and pop up with family, and it really gets to me, all I do now is instant disappear. I just let it go. And having those tools under my belt has just saved my life, to be honest, because I know how to get out of those moments, those feelings, those from certain people or when certain situations. I just know how to let go of it now. I can deal with things so much easier.
Yeah.
So,
well, I said like a pendulum swing, because you go from being this carefree, innocent, you know, do what I want, let me just go here, I've got no one to be responsible for, to this absolute control, toxic environment. You can't go here, you can't go here, you're stuck, look at these 4 walls, stay here. And it's almost like if your thermostat is comfortable here, that this swing here is pulling you back to where you feel comfortable. You know, they talk about your comfort zone or your safe space. You know, and it's like now you're in a space where you can't let anybody in. It's just too much. And I think sometimes the brain associates all this freedom and fun loving to your lack of, you know, boundaries, allowing just anybody in, thinking they all mean the best, thinking that they're all going to be great fun, and actually not everybody has that best intention for you at all.
No.
If anything, they just want to steal it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's always like, it's like a lesson in I always say, if you lose your innocence, it gets replaced with wisdom. And I'd rather have wisdom any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. So you are doing a quantum, you said quantum recovery technique. What is that? How does that work?
Oh, Quantum Recode. So basically,
Recode, that's it.
Yeah, so it's basically a process that we take people through. It's a 5-step process, but before we can go into doing that, we need to identify what your purpose is. And first of all, we start getting people into orientating to our 4 core orientational choices first up. So the first one being, I live a life that I love, or I choose to live a life I love. I choose to be fit and healthy, or to be the predominant creating force of my life. And I choose to live my true nature and purpose. So with those 4 core orientational choices, there is always resistance that we have, because anything that you do and you go for, whether it be for in business, in life, or anything, our ego always takes over. And our ego and limiting beliefs and that sort of thing is what holds us back from really truly creating what we desire in life. So what we do with the Quantum Recode is we focus on we can focus first on the 4 core choices, but I go through with my clients and do an intuitive reading with them, and go through a land of plenty to try and unpack what is true for them. So, and then build their own choices around what they want to create in their life. And a lot of times it can be it can be, so exciting to know where you want to go. And sometimes it can be, oh, okay, this is what's coming up for me, but I'm doing this. But why are you doing A? Are you doing A to solve a problem because you think that in a business or creating a business is going to make you financially abundant, or are you creating a business? Are you there? Are you?
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Or are you creating a business because of social influences? Yeah, you just keep on freezing a little. Or are you creating a business just to, because your people around you think that you're smart and all that sort of stuff. And believe me, I've had people say that to me. And they're just trying to resolve a problem. And that's not what we do when we create true choices. We create true choices that are true to your heart, and we word them in a way that is not to resolve a problem. You're creating them just because you want them and you love them and you'd love to just have it. So once we've created our true choices, then we start to work on them and focus on them every single day. I've got a morning ritual and a complete 90-day journal and step-by-step guide on how to do your morning routine, also how to, visualize and choose your choices every single morning, so that you wake up of a morning and you're actually motivating yourself, because every single morning you're focusing on where you actually want to be. And it also helps you get into your creative orientation rather than being stuck and focusing on the problem. Then with that, then comes the recode. So basically the recode, we look at, point A, point B, point A being our current reality and where we currently are now, and then we focus on our desired reality. With anything you go and do in life, there's always going to be tension. So, and the tension is usually our ego, our limiting beliefs, I'm not good enough, I don't belong, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable. That is basically holding us back from moving forward. So what we do is we work with clients to learn what your current reality is, and also know where their desired reality is. And when we, and with that being said, that's where we should basically show the tension. And the tension is what we help clients recode, because it's what's actually holding them back. And we work with them and we go through a number of different processes to update their superconscious mind, and help recode out those resistances. Now you can have 1, 2, 3, depending on how much is actually stuck. I generally do, maybe 1 or maybe 2 a month now, but I know when I need to do a recode, because generally I'm just in flow now. So yeah, it helps just release the resistance, so that when we are holding the tension gets lesser and lesser, and eventually, like, while you're holding on to that tension, you're going to get to your destination. There is just, you just got to get there, because you're not taking the path of least resistance. We're recoding that out. You're just on your way. You've got your focus. You're doing your focus every single morning by focusing on your true choices. And that's how we basically get people into their creative structure as well, and achieving what they want in life and creating what they want in life. Probably in a year or so, once I've fully established myself in a show around the world, and start working with teenage kids as well, because we know that when we finish school, we all are so unsure of what we want to do, and we go through and we are taking influences by our parents, our aunts, our grandparents, friends, family, and we really don't know what we want to create. Like me, for example, when I left school, Dad took me to the accountant, and they just be an accountant. So I started doing accounting at school, because I thought, oh yeah, that's gonna, get me to where I want to be. But I just did not like it. It was boring. So I was basically doing something that I was influenced by other people, but it was never ever true to my heart. Like, what did I want to do when I was a kid? I wanted to dance, I wanted to sing, I wanted to be on stage and do all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't able to do that because my mum and my parents wouldn't allow me to do that. So I went into boring accounting. So, I really want to help kids later on, especially as my kids get a lot older and into their teenage lives, to really learn how to find what your purpose is and do it once and know how to do it and just keep on going, rather than the likes of me finding out when I'm nearly, 45 years old and only just finding what I truly want in my life, So, yeah.
No, you're right, because a lot of people are doing something that they're either told by the school, this is what you're good at, so therefore you should go into this. And then you think, well, just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I love it, like you're saying. Or you do it because your dad wants you to be a banker, lawyer, doctor, or whatever, because there's money there, and you're dying inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And also, you know what I find? The biggest problem with school systems now is they haven't changed. So they are teaching kids to conform and do what we say, fit in, follow the rules, don't break the rules. And then when you leave school, you now need to become authentic, stand out from the crowd. And your entire life, you've been kind of pushed into this box to behave according to the way society wants you to behave. And now you need to know what you're passionate about, but you've been told you're not allowed to be passionate about anything. Those dreams aren't for you.
Yeah, that is so true. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. It's been dumbed down. And the thing is, I always say, and I had the same, I think I'm still trying to find my purpose. I know my purpose. I'm just trying to find an expression for it. But there are some people
Yeah.
that know from a very young age that I want to be a doctor or I'm going to help animals or whatever, and they do it. And I think
Yeah.
that's so awesome. But there are those of us who just don't have
No,
that, we haven't got maybe the encouragement or the guidance, the right guidance for somebody to be able to recognize a talent or something within you. And I mean, I know from firsthand experience, looking to see what is my life purpose, what is out there, are exactly what you're talking about, those mental tests that show you your aptitude, the logical, rational, step by step.
yeah,
And that's not
that is
what you
so
should be
not
doing.
true. No, you need to know what your true purpose is in your own heart. And there's no, I'm sorry, but there's just no app, there's no technology or no nothing that actually can tell you that. Your own superconscious mind, your own inner genius knows what that is for you. And when you learn to tap into that, it's just absolutely magical. Like, and the other thing is you learn also how to set intentions. Like I can go to where I just set intentions. Like, for example, we've got a fun park down the road, and I was busy working away, and it was school holidays, and the kids come to me and says, "Mum, can we just go to Jamboree?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, Mum's got work, but let's go for 2 hours." We get there and we're on the way and it's like raining, and I'm like, "No, set the intention, it's not going to rain." I said, "But we need to leave by 1:30 because Mum's got to get home for a meeting." Anyway, we got there. They played for 2-3 hours, went on all the water slides, whatever it was, went to the beach park and then come 1:30, it rained and it was time for us to go. And it's just like perfect timing. And I said to my daughter, "See what happens when you set the intention?" He says, "Yes, I know, Mum. Look what time it is." I'm like, perfect timing. And yeah, so even going to get a car park in the crazy mix of Christmas, and I go to the shopping centre and I'm like, "Okay, we're going to set the intention, we're going to get a car park." We drive in, straight into the car park and get a spot straight away. And that's how it works. Once you get into your flow, you trust your superconscious, you speak to it every day, you ask for directions, and it always gives you the right answer.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of stuff that Jim Rohn talks about, all the motivational speakers speak about. And as the name says, it's quantum. It's instant. You're tapping into a higher consciousness. You're not just thinking it from the ego mind, saying, "This is what I want," but it's forcing, it's willful, rather than allowingness. It's a totally opposite shift almost. It's like getting your ego out the way and allowing what is right to come through, because it will speak through you and you will know it. You will absolutely know it. Yeah.
And it's so powerful, like in decision making, in everyday decision making. We could have in our mind, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do A, B, C and D. But when you ask for guidance every day, it'll always give you the next most obvious action step, and it's that step that you need to take, because all the others we need to do is what your superconscious actually guides you to do, and it's always 100%. We do take you through a meditation to get you into your land of plenty, but also the first thing you need to also, like we help you do, is to get into your innocence, because when you're in your innocence, then what happened in the past or what you think is going to happen in the future just doesn't exist, and it's not true. So we take you through a guided meditation to get you into innocence, and then we take you through on your land of plenty journey. And it's like it's 15-20 minute meditation, but as you go through your land of plenty, and at the end, and if you've got a coach that's intuitively doing it with you, you can basically, like, you just start writing down and writing down and writing down, and what's coming out is what you want to do, what your purpose is, and where you want to do, what you want to create. And it's really, like, it's goosebumpy. It's really it's amazing, especially doing it with a coach. What I got and what she got was just pretty much identical. She put singing in hers, and she says, "Oh, I don't know," and she was scared to tell me, "I don't know where this come from." So my coach was actually doing my own intuitive reading with me, and she put on her, when she started writing everything down about me, she added singing onto it. And she was very hesitant to tell me towards the end about the singing, and I said to her, no, I love singing. I don't think I'm fantastic, but I've always wanted to sing. And what I've done in the past, I wrote a song for my sister's wedding, and me and my daughter got up and sang it at her wedding. So I've always wanted to do it, so it probably should be. So it's really powerful. And then once you go through your land of plenty, and you unpack what is actually true for you, that's when we start working out what your true choices are going to be. And that's when you can start to really focus on, we work on, the tension, your current reality, your desired reality. If there's any tension in between, then we can help recode or go through a number of different processes that we can do for you to basically get you into a creative structure, because everyone is in a problem orientation, because that's just how the world is. It's just knowing how to get out of that problem orientation and shift into a creative structure. So that's why I call myself a creative development coach rather than a life coach or business coach, because we can be called all these sorts of things, but basically what I do is I help people get into a creative structure.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So what would you say to people that, I'll give you an example. So what a person that says, I've got 2 young children, I can't leave my job, I want to do what I really am passionate about, but I can't right now because I can't just quit. I don't have the infrastructure or the resources to go and study doing what I want to do. What would you say to somebody like that, that's like, and it's not excuses, it's like real life problem that they have, where they in a situation and they can't see the future because this thing keeps coming, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. So and all that is a lot of those things, it's tension. Okay, so there's always things that pop up, there's always things that we want to do that could be part of your purpose. It's not what you're doing, it's what you want to create. So I was in my 9-to-5 job. I was doing what I didn't want to do. And when you find out what you truly want to do and you keep your focus, then you will slowly get there. And it's not meaning you have to quit your 9-to-5 job, because it may not be appropriate for you at that point in time, but you're still on the path to getting to where you choose to be and what your desired reality is. Yeah. So you just can't expect people to just drop everything just because. It's just not feasible for some people. They need to make a choice as to whether they want to make a change in their life, or whether they want to stay in their stuck state. And believe me, that stuck state is just not a nice place to be. And you could be on that hamster wheel for years, like I was. I was even on the hamster wheel all through my marriage, to be honest. And I was just getting buried every single day. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you've had that freedom, you'd value that freedom more than anything. And you've had a taste of it. You know what it feels like. And you know what it feels like when you don't have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I was one to, be out socializing with friends, and, I've got friends all over the world, which I haven't seen for years, and lost complete contact with them because I was, coming from where I've just come from. It's just, no. And I think only just in the last probably 2-3 months, and I started pulling out my travel photos and really talking to my kids about it, that I'm starting to, that you know how I just have the feeling of how it was back then when I was traveling, and that feeling that I had then when I was just so free. It's just magical. It's just, this is where we're going to go, kids, So I just can't wait.
That's how you know you're in your zone again.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm feeling it too. Like, and I think also, like last week, I went to go and buy myself a pair of jeans. Just get a Band-Aid, it's okay. I went and brought myself a pair of jeans. Prior to that, I've never ever been a size 18 in my life. And I had bought a size 18 pair of jeans, probably in August. And Thursday I went to the jeans shop and I said, oh, can I try on a size 14? So I tried it on a size 14 and it fit perfectly. I'm like, can we try on a size 12? And I tried on my size 12. Oh my God, I walked out of that shop. I was beaming. It's like, woohoo! Yeah, I'm getting it all back. It's all coming back.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that's what you're wanting. It's not even about the career as much as it is about connecting and being in your authentic space, doing what lights you up, because that's how you add value. You don't add value just, showing up, being at work, because nobody benefits from that. Not truly,
No, definitely not. And sharing your story as well. I think, I've struggled to share my story, because I was always told to shut my mouth, to be exact, and not share who I am. And it's only been the last few 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months that I've actually started speaking up and being the powerful person that I am and starting to share my story. And by sharing your story, you give so much value to everybody else. And it also, not just the value, but people see where you've come from and where you're going, and what you've achieved, and they know they can do it too. So, and it's not hard. It's really not hard. The hardest part is holding on to the resistance and knowing and focusing on it. That's it. You just got to focus on it every single day, and you follow what your superconscious mind tells you, then it becomes second nature to you. Yeah. So, and it's getting past all of those resistances and that bloody ego of ours that keeps on popping up. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, because that's how people learn, that's how people grow, and that's how you also grow. Because you start realizing actually not everybody judges you the way that you do, or the way that certain people have told you. And just because they don't want you to share your story, what are they trying to protect themselves from? What are they trying to block you from doing? You know, that's
And
always my
I
question: is what's the motive?
and there's always a motive. They don't want to share, or they don't want to, yeah. And for me, that is 100% the case. I know that for a fact. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing is, like, if you don't have
That's
anything to hide, what is the problem? You know, I think that's actually where a lot of trauma comes from, is trying to keep things secret. And when there's lies and secrets and bad things, you know, to me, even if you've done something bad, like you might have shoplifted. I mean, I did. I was 6 years old. I felt so bad. I thought I could never ever tell anybody that I stole a packet of stickers, I think it was. And I still feel bad to this day about it. But really, I don't think I'm going to be sent to jail for something like that. It's really so.
no.
So when you speak about it, okay, so the world knows, what are you going to do with it now? You know?
Yeah, exactly. But you know, when people are like that though, and they are holding you back from doing what you like, or you choose to do, or even opening up, that's their own ego, and that's their own dysfunctional patterns. And that does not need to be yours as well, and you do not need to hold on to that. Um, I know, well, actually in the last, 2.5 years, I have copped quite a lot of abuse, which was not even related to me. It was not my problem. It was not my thing, but it was directed at me, because I'm the eldest, or I'm, one of the closest people there. But like, if you really looked at the scenario and what was going on, that is not my stuff. That's your own stuff. Whilst I was in those situations and my mind was like, oh my God, what is going on? Where is all this coming from? Thinking that, is it me? No, it's like, what is it? But until you, I guess, have people like me and my coaches, talk you through and really unpack what was actually going on, it's actually got nothing to do with me, and whatever was said or done or happened or anything like that, you can hold on to that trauma. You can hold on to everything that everyone has said to you in your last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it may be, and it can really, work you up, or you can just let it go with an anchor. And that is the power of what we do.
Yeah,
so
that's
and
awesome.
letting go is, you need to let go. You don't want to live because of everybody else's problems that they've created for themselves and you. No, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I think that is actually the biggest key, is not holding on to something, especially, and I think a lot of people are wanting to be validated. They want closure. They want the person to admit that what they said was wrong, and they may never do that. And then you're left holding all this stuff, and it's not even yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I get told to, I get told many times, fix what's going on with your system. Like, what is there to fix? It's not my crap. It's just really not my crap anymore. Like it wasn't before, and it's not now. There's other things going on, and I can't fix somebody. And in fact, nobody is broken. They have just got their ego and their limiting beliefs and dysfunctional patterns, which are controlling their life and creating this absolute monster of a life. And all they need is to update their superconscious mind so that they can get back on track and start moving into a creative structure to create what they want and be free. If you're living in all
simple.
that muck, it is. It is so simple.
You know what the
I was
problem
going,
is? They've got to want to do it.
yeah, well, if they want to go to the shop and buy a piece of a block of chocolate, they want to do that. If they want to change their life, well, then they've got to take the same sort of action.
I think,
Basically.
you know, you got to travel for 4 years. You got to see the world. You got to live in that space where you're free to say, who do I want to be? Where do I want to go? No limitation. But that requires a certain amount of consciousness. And I think some people don't have it yet. That, you know, we're at different levels. And maybe they want to open up to it and maybe they just don't.
Yeah, that's so true as well. I was lucky enough actually when I didn't actually mention this story, but now that you're talking about consciousness and intuition and traveling, I'm a black belt in self-defense ninjutsu.
Okay.
And but I haven't done it for years. It was when I was young, but it saved my life. When I was in Australia, I was by the Harbour Bridge, walking across the road. I got hit by a car because, you know, being a silly little girl, I rolled up onto the taxi and then I basically rolled over top of it. Got up, like there was no graze on me, got on the train and caught the train back home. And that was all because of, you know, I learned how to get myself out of difficult situations. I knew how to roll and do all that sort of stuff. Now coming over to traveling, when I went to travel the world, you know, you get yourself into, you get yourself into different situations, and you know you've got, you know, people around you that you just absolutely don't know, and you've got to be aware. And there were many times while I was traveling where my intuition just, you know, came into play. I stopped one of my friend's bags from being pickpocketed right in front of me, and, you know, all those sorts of things. You just feel it around you. So I've always had an intuitive, you know, nature, but I know I have not ever used it as much as I do now. It's game changing. It's life changing. It's, you know, you're safe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that will benefit from what you have to offer as well, because they will learn how to connect with their own intuition, learn how to connect with their own superconscious, you know, instead of always listening to what somebody else is telling them who doesn't know anything.
Absolutely. Like even now, like every single morning or every, you know, if I have decisions that I need to make, I just basically, you know, draw in my mind my own truth circle, and ask for the most, you know, for the correct answer. And you just need, like, I do that, you know, in everyday life. Imagine that in a big corporate space or any type of, you know, business space. You know, we've got so many different chiefs and Indians making all these decisions, but when you can use your intuition and get the right answer, rather than getting so many different variations and just creating a whole big, you know, whatever they create. So
that would make such a difference.
It does, and it makes it easy too. Like, you can stress about the decision you're making, not knowing if it's the right or the wrong, or, we all get ourselves into those types of scenarios. We've all done that before. But then when you're being guided and you learn to trust the guidance, that also releases all the overwhelm, all the stress and everything else that comes with it,
Yep.
Yep. And even, public speaking and, talking about that, getting on, doing reels and social media and all that. Like, do I choose to go for Facebook? Do I choose to go for TikTok? All those sorts of things, or even just getting in front of the camera. Like, for me, you know how hard that was. And now I do reels. I done 5 reels today, and you recode it out. You get rid of the resistance. You do it once or twice, and then you just keep on going. So,
and you realize how easy it actually is.
Absolutely, it's not that hard, because what's creating it, what is actually happening is it's the resistance that's holding you from moving forward. And when you get so close to it, and you've got your tension, I can't find my bands, but and you've got your tension. As soon as you let go of it, you're taking the path of least resistance. So therefore, you're back on your pendulum, and then you've got to make it back up to try and get there closer and closer and closer again. And then as soon as you do it, then you've achieved it. You got your desired reality, and you just keep on moving closer to your true desired reality. It sounds so simple, and it is, to be honest. So
you just got to do it.
That's exactly right. You have to take the action.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
where can people get hold of you?
So people can get hold of me via email, or I've got my socials as well. On Kirsten Maihi, so KIRSTEN.Maihi, on Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok.
Yep.
Or my email address is kirsten@kirstenmaihi.com. So,
well, I'll put all your links below as well, so people can find it there. Before we go, do you have any message for our viewers?
Just go and create a life you truly love. You're powerful. Everybody should be living their dream, and that's what I choose for me, and I'd love to see everyone around do that as well. It's a fun place to be.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Because
you.
it was an honor to meet you. I think that a lot of people will benefit from the work that you do, and to me, it's my wish that everybody lives a fulfilled life. That's what we came here to do, not try and live a life according to somebody else's wants and desires, because you're not here to impress or please anybody. You're here to experience the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you very much. And
thank you for having me.
I look forward to hearing
pleasure
from you again. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. I have done quite a few interviews because I'm moving at the end of the month. I'm going overseas. I'm moving to Holland. So I'm just backing up the interviews so that at least during my move, I've got, it's done. I don't have to stress about it. So it will probably be released around about mid-June, if that's okay. I'll let you know before the time, though.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Right. Yeah, no, thank you. Enjoy your day. I think your kids are looking for you as well.
Oh, they're downstairs. One's cut their finger and she's okay.
Oh, my word. Yeah, so I hope you get to travel. Take your kids. Do it.
Oh,
you cannot give them that you can't give them that education at school. There's no way. It's just...
Well, look, that's what I say to them all the time. The best education in the world is traveling. So, we're doing it and they want to do it. So... We will be doing it. You'll see all my socials once I'm doing it, that's for sure. I don't think I'll be back
where's the first place you're going to take them?
Actually, I really, really, really want to go to America this year. So, yeah, my brother's over there and I haven't seen him for 6 years, so that'll be our first place. And then maybe to Fiji for a couple of weeks. My best mate's there. And then from there, we'll just start completing the bucket list. Yeah, I've never been to America before, so...
where is he? In America?
Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's been...
Are you going to love it? You're going to love it.
Oh, I know. I know I will love it. They will love it too. The only resistance that we have is their dad, and they say, well, who cares? You know, so, and how can he hold us back anyway? Like, we're giving him the best education in the world. You've got to do what's right for you in your own heart. And so, yeah, and it's so important to educate kids in that way, because the way that I was brought up was I had to do this, or I had, I'm the eldest, so I need to lead by example, and I have to, do things this way and that way, and it's just so not true. So, yeah.
Well, that's always the responsibility of the eldest, right? You get the brunt of all the hardcore parenting style, but I mean, you've learned from it. You're not going to pass that on to your kids.
No. But if I hadn't have done this work, to be honest, I wouldn't have known any better. So it's getting hold of and making as many people aware of this work, to be able to educate their kids, and that's why I have chosen to work with parents and families, because the more we reach out to mums and dads, the more they learn and the more they educate their children as well. So
that's the thing. I find actually trying to help a child is difficult when the parents don't want to change, because they're powerless to do something about it. They're still stuck in that same family dynamic. So even though they're now feeling empowered from the outside, it actually even makes it worse, because they're getting that kickback, that resistance from the parents. It's so hard. The parents need to do the work. So, but again, it's back to consciousness. It's back to awareness, and learning, personal growth, personal development.
Yeah. And a lot of the elders don't believe in any of that either. So,
well, the more aware you become, the more you realize how many people are not aware.
They wouldn't even know, and they think, and it's really funny. And I'll be honest, I used to think the same thing. I thought, oh, this is all woo-woo stuff, but it's just not. It's just true. It's you tap into your own genius. It's nobody else telling you the story.
Exactly.
Parents, your grandparents, or anyone else. It's not some random down the road or across the country, wherever it is. It's your own genius, and in fact, your own superconscious mind knows more about you and what's coming than your heart.
Yeah, well, that's your soul, your higher self. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope your children sort out.
And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. See you later.